It's Friday, y'all. What y'all doing? Y'all probably ain't doing no work today. It's payday, but rent and mortgages are due. So I made this long post earlier this week, but I feel like nobody liked it because it was so long, and I'm like, I got ADD too. So as contradicting as it is, I do not like to read long posts. I like to write, but I hate reading. Go figure. Like I'm like a big fanatic of Audible. I like to listen to stuff. But I'm gonna tell you, I want to make this video because I feel like somebody needed to hear it. It can trigger some people, like if you're not in the right mindset or you're not at home. Um, it's not really a title. It's just it was a graphic pic, like a graphic art someone posted, and I'm gonna make it my pic art on this video. But it was the heart, but the heart was holding the brain at the toilet, and the mind or the brain was vomiting, and I don't know, it was something about it that made a lot of sense. I do feel like the heart controls the mind at a lot of times. And when it comes to being logical, I feel like sometimes the heart sees for the mind. I know I'm going way too deep into it, but when you see the picture of it, you'll understand. And you'll also be able to see it on my Worth the Wait podcast. I put it on my Facebook page and my regular Facebook page for Sierra Trinae, but Instagram, it was like the character count, like I went way over. It's like 5 paragraphs. But I wanted to tell y'all what I wrote about. I'm going to be kind of looking away, but I think everybody needs to hear this, especially people who are dealing with past traumas and holding things in. I think that we need to take ownership, and I do think that we need to just figure out what we're going to do in our lives when it comes to compartmentalizing our hurt and the things that we've been through. If we're going to keep making excuses or make it a point to try to break the generational curse and get the help we need to move forward. So I looked up I don't know if it was Webster Dictionary, the definition of heart, and there's like heart when it comes to the actual organ, and then there's heart when it's like a verb. And in the dictionary, it's talking about a hollow muscular organ, and it pumps blood through the circulatory system. And, it beats. And then there is the verb when it talks about being the central the central innermost part of something. That's a noun, my bad. And then the verb is like liking something very much or loving it, like having the heart for cooking or the heart for mentoring little, younger children. And then you have the mind, or I didn't want to really use the word brain because, it's, what we think with. But when I think of the brain that I saw in the picture, it made me think of the mind. And the noun definition for that is the element of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experiences, to think and to feel. It's a person's intellect. And the verb is to be distressed, annoyed, or worried by something, or to have regard as something important, to be concerned about it, like it's on your mind, like you're minding it. So for me, I feel like when you are healing, you have to have access to both factors, your heart and your mind. You can't just heal your heart. You have to also think through things as you're like healing through things with your heart. So let's talk about it. In the beginning of therapy, they ask you how your childhood was, like how was your household, how was your relationship with your parents? How was how were your friendships? Was there sibling rivalry, or did y'all get along? What was your daily routine? Like what time did you get up in the mornings during the week, for school? Or how were your Saturday and Sunday mornings? How were the weekends? How were you raised? Was your mother and father there, or was it just your mother or your father? As children, I feel like some of us have the most painful memories and trauma, and we pack it into the innermost and dark, secluded parts of our brains. A song, a smell, a TV show. You know how the songs on the TV shows like Married with Children, maybe, or The Simpsons instrumental when it first comes on. They can take you back to some of the most like triggering times, whether it's a happy moment or a really rough moment, and it can determine how you are as an adult. My question is, have you forgiven the bullies from your childhood? The older relative that may have touched you, and told you not to tell anyone. What about when your parents embarrassed you or created traumatizing moments in your life or events that you will never forget? Do you remember when your mama would fix you a plate, or maybe your daddy would fix you a plate and be like, you better eat every last bit of it? And it'd be a food that you just hate, and you be like, well, mama, daddy, I don't want it. But they make you eat it anyway. And you think about being an adult and how you don't want to eat it now. Like, you will not eat it. Like, I cannot stand oatmeal. It is disgusting. I cannot swallow it. It is the nastiest looking thing to me. And my mama used to make me eat. She used to make me eat it, but I would explain to her, like, try to explain, like, I can't swallow it. It's something about the texture of oatmeal. I don't care who made it. So, did something happen to you that you remember that no one knows about? As children, we tend to keep secrets because we're embarrassed and we don't want to be judged, because we waited, because of the things that may have happened. And as children, we tend to think that the things that happened to us are our fault. So when you became a teenager, how did you fit in? Did you have friends? How did you dress? Were you popular? I really wasn't popular. I had a really bad attitude and I thought I was smart. So what about your sexual orientation? Did you date in high school? How was your social life? I was somewhat social, but I had a close knit of friends. I didn't call everybody my friend. Did anything life-changing happen to you between the ages of 13 and 19 that you never told anyone? Are you ready to share that? It doesn't have to be with me. It could be with your close friend that you trust, your husband, your wife, your partner, anybody. Okay, so now we're grown-ups. We're adults. We have children or we may not have children. Whatever your preference is, hey, I understand that's fine. How do you feel about your life currently? Your accomplishments. Have you accomplished everything that you wanted to at your current age, like today, years old? What about your circle of friends? Are they solid? Like, can you rely on them? What about your family? Do you have relationships with them, or are you distant? What about your solitude? What about your identity as you alone? Your relationship with your kids, in your marriage, your relationship with your significant other. Okay. So if it's possible, it's possible that if you're unhealed or going through a healing stage, you most likely have been attracted to, dated, or been in some type of intimate or relationship or friendship with someone who reminded you of someone that you loved very much in your past but hurt you the most as a kid. Try to process what I just said. You may have dealt with, dated, been a friend with, or been in some type of intimate relationship with someone that reminded you of someone from your childhood that you love very much, but they hurt you the most. That's a harsh truth, and that is a lot to digest. So again, have you forgiven these people? Have you hidden these things in your mind to avoid dealing with the emotions, the discomfort, or even facing the person who caused the pain? I can tell you these from experience. Running from hurt never resolves the problem. You will continue to meet the person that hurt you, or you will become the person that hurt you. The saying always is, hurt people hurt people. I always say that. Like when you're pissed off and someone has, triggered you, you're not going to automatically think, I'm going to deal with this, another day, or I'm not going to let them win. 90% of the time, you're going to be like, you know what, I'm going to cuss you out, or you got me messed up. You know what I'm saying? But what I want you to do is sit down and think about it. You need to cry it out. You need to talk it out. You need to scream it out. But most of all, what we have to do when we're dealing with trauma and things that we've been through, we have to forgive ourselves for feeling unprotected or being unprotected. The parents or parent that we resent, the friend that violated us, the boy, the man, the woman, the girl you trusted not to mistreat you or abuse you, and they did it anyway. Or even the person you trusted the most with your heart. You know how it is when you get that first heartbreak from the person you lost your virginity to. And it's like, damn, I thought you had my back and you didn't. But you realize as you get older, like, I never forgave him or her for what they did to me. And the thing is, although their actions were wrong, it's still our responsibility to forgive them and forgive ourselves, because the thing about resentment and anger and that lack of forgiveness is we tend to shackle ourselves. We will be imprisoned. So it's like you in a cell with the monster that hurt you. Why do you want to dwell where they are? So you have to deal with it. So how long will you hurt about it? I know I let something hurt me for over 20 years. How long will you hurt others? How long will you keep the secret that been withholding and protect this monster, whether it's you or that person or those people? Withholding that hurt also affects you health-wise too. Like, think of if someone flipped you inside out, you probably got this black stuff on your lungs, or these extra excess fluid on your heart and all this stuff. Like, they say that you have to deal with things mentally because they will start to affect you physically, like in your chest and your stomach, like whether it be ulcers or heart disease or diabetes, anything. We got to start dealing with the stuff that we are withholding because we're embarrassed or we don't want to be judged. The objective or the moral of the story is following your heart will hurt you sometimes, but your mind is also a terrible thing to waste. We have to start dealing with things logically. You can't deal with an emotional problem financially. You can't deal with a financial problem emotionally. You have to deal with your emotional problems emotionally, of course, but with some help, like mental problems mentally, financial problems financially. Although they say go with your heart, sometimes that can be irrational, especially if you're not in a healed state of mind. So we really need to think about, sorry, y'all. We really need to think about how we handle everything with our heart. Sometimes we got to sit back and think too, like, am I thinking rationally? Some of us are hopeless romantics. We feel like, oh, if I keep loving this person, it's going to change things. Come on, sometimes you got to use your common sense. If you see that things are getting worse or they're not changing, sometimes you got to control that narrative and take a step back. Like, what do you need to do? Or if you haven't forgiven these people that hurt you in the past and you're becoming the person or the monster that you were, sometimes you got to take a step back. Like, wait a minute. He or she did this to me, or he or she is doing this to me, or why am I meeting this person is just like my mama, or why I keep meeting this person just like my daddy, or my big brother, or my big cousin who touched me when I was younger. It starts with you. You are responsible for your healing journey, and you are responsible for taking the first step, not your parents who hurt you, the man who broke your heart, the friend who slept with your man. Like, they're not responsible for taking the initiative to, getting help and healing. Because all you're going to do is you're going to sit around and you're going to end up attracting a group of people who are miserable like you, and you won't grow. Nothing will grow in dirt that doesn't have healthy soil. You have to have healthy soil to plant a seed. If the dirt is just dead and dry, what are you gonna do? If you're just sitting there and it's just sun and it's not getting the if the dirt is not healthy, or it's not getting the water that it needs to grow. Like, you need a circle of water. People that are holding you accountable, people that have already been through what you've been through, or people who are almost healed or are healed, have healthy friendships, healthy relationships, marriages, healthy relationships with their children. Because we don't like to admit that we may have caused trauma and toxicity in our children because of the way we were, brought up. But we have to quit being so closed-minded. And what we have to do is start understanding that our way is not always the right way. Like me, I thought that if I forgot a lot of the stuff that happened to me, it wouldn't come back to haunt me. Recently, something happened to me when I was a kid, resurfaced. It was about maybe like a month, 2 months ago, that I thought I'd forgotten all about. But when you're on a healing journey to get your life back together, you are going to have to revisit everything from start to finish so that you can remember it, you can assess it, you can accept it, and you can forgive and heal from it. I want y'all to think about everything that I say, because everything that I post is a reflection of me and what I'm going through. Because I used to be the person that didn't want to forgive anyone. I don't care about your apologies. I feel like in order for a person who hurt me, for me to forgive them, I want them to suffer, burn in hell, like not be able to thrive, live, survive. Like, that's how cruel I was. And I always wanted closure. And I realize now I don't need closure because I know who I am. I know who I was. And there are things that I've done that I've had to forgive myself for. And I still have my moments. We all do. None of us, I don't think any of us are 100% healed. But I think that once we take the responsibility and take ownership and realize, you know what, I need to get help. I need to forgive this woman that broke my heart or left me, on my, left me at my lowest. So I need to forgive this man that kept cheating on me and beating on me. You have to forgive or you're going to keep encountering that. Or not only that, you may end up just completely alone because the way it's looking, everybody's trying to get healed. We all still have some toxic characteristics in us. But the thing is, a lot of us are trying to heal now because we don't want to inflict the things that we went through as children or in our earlier lives on our children. We want a healthier generation. And that's why having better mental health is being encouraged. So, what you waiting on? Because a spiritually healed person or someone who has been through what you've been through can see straight through you. You can hoot and holler while you're out, dress as pretty as you want, smell as good as you want that cologne on, my boy. Be as handsome as you want to. But a healed person or a person that's been through everything you've been through can see straight through and see, yeah, you're hurting. I can tell you exactly what happened to you as a kid. People don't even know that some people, I can look straight at them and can tell them exactly what happened to them as a kid because of the way they carry themselves, the way they dress, how they make sure their hands are manicured well, or, how they speak, like they want to feel important, like they standing tall and all this kind of stuff. You can tell. Because you can tell when a person is completely secure and you can tell when their insecurity seeping out. So, stop waiting and get help. We are dying so young now. We're not even making it past 40. So, use your mind and your heart. But think before you react. Think, before you do something out of your emotions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry, but do not react out of it. Give yourself some time. But with these childhood traumas, that's why they always say you're not. I think Echo Riley, I'm going to have to shout you out. Echo Riley was talking about how if we're not healed, we are literally at the age of where the traumatic events took place. And that resonated with me a lot. So a lot of times you may see like a 40-year-old man, but he's acting like he's 13 because that may have been when he was molested or beat or may have seen his mom raped or robbed or something. Take heed to what I'm saying and heal because you deserve to have the life that you want, but you're the only one that's in control of that. God gives us free will, but faith without works is dead. Y'all have a good weekend.